Welcome, Lumineers and fans of the happiest card game on earth. My name's John T. You've just been putting the inkwell alongside the final 32 cards. Is it 32 or 34? 34 cards, isn't it, in a colour, I think, of the Ursula's Return set review. We're into steel, baby. Let's get started. First up then, a 3-costed inkable 3/3 with 1 lore, Aladdin Brave Rescuer, Floodborn Hero with Shift, discard a location card, and crashing through. Whenever this character quests, you may banish chosen item. Honestly, getting rid of an item's pretty solid here. Wildcat didn't really see much play after I thought he would have done in the last set. He required you to exert him to banish an item. Here you are getting a lore as well, but I still probably don't think this is enough for it to see play. I certainly don't think you're shifting this. I mean, a deck, at most, even a location-heavy deck is maybe running 12 copies of locations, so I can't imagine you're going to be happy to get rid of one of them just to get this down a little earlier, just to get rid of a item. Maybe this coming down on a 3 and then exerting next turn to get rid of a fishbone is actually pretty good, but it's a bit techie for my liking. 1-costed inkable 1/3 with 1 lore, Aladdin Resolute Swordsman, Storyborn Hero, common. Nothing really to say here. It's a steel 1/3. I would love to see the big Aladdin from set 1, the ruby one, the heroic outlaw. I'd love to see him see some more play, but so far the shift targets are still not really exciting me for that card, unfortunately. Next up, a 2-costed inkable 4/1 with 1 lore, Argus, I'm not sure, the Cyclops Storyborn Titan, common card, another Titan for the Titan Matters deck. Still a way off being a deck though, I think, and this doesn't really help it very much. It's a really weirdly statted vanilla. 3-costed inkable 2/4 with 1 lore, Ariel Determined Mermaid, Storyborn Hero Prince. I Want More. Whenever you play a song, you may draw a card, then choose and discard a card, common card. This isn't terrible, I don't think. I like the loot on a song as opposed to on play or on exertion, which is where we've usually seen that, especially in steel. And this is a relatively solid shift target for the Sonic Warrior, I think it's called, the one we'll look at in just a moment. I still think you're probably going to want to put Sonic Warrior just over the top of the singer from set 1 as, oh man, what's she called? Superstar singer, sensational singer, I forget. You know, the one Ariel everyone plays. Alright, 6-costed inkable 3/8 with 2 lore, Ariel Sonic Warrior, Floodborn Hero Princess with Shift 4 and Amplified Voice. Whenever you play a song, you may pay 2 to deal 3 damage to a chosen character. Super rare, with that by Marcel Berg. So I think this is really good. I think it suffers from most of Steel's top end, with it being 3 on its strength and therefore dying to Medusa. The other real issue you've got here is even if you're shifting this on curve, you're not actually going to be able to use her ability straight away because you're going to need that extra 2 to deal the 3 damage. So maybe shifting this off curve is the way to go. Putting this down, questing, and then being able to play the 2 to deal the 3 damage is good. Or maybe this is just a good way to get some more value out of your Sensational Singer. Sensational Singer, that's what it's called. Because you can shift this on 4 and it basically just carries on doing the same stuff. Sensational Singer could sing 5 costs, this can sing 6 costs, although the difference there is marginal, but you don't mind having a 3/8 turn sideways as much as you do having the 2/3 or whatever the Sensational Singer is. So, it's just a body upgrade, I suppose. I think it's even 1 more lore as well, and then if it does stick around, you're going to start getting value out of being able to pay 2 to do a smash to something, as you also get value out of playing songs. I think this is really good. I don't think it's quite as the big broken bomb we all thought it was when the first few cards from the set got revealed, but I do think it's pretty playable and it will probably find a home in Steel Song. It may also find a home in an Emerald Steel build as well that's focused a little bit more on doing damage perhaps. 3-costed inkable 2/3 with 1 lore, Beast Thick Skinned, Resist 1, Storyborn Hero Prince. Fine vanilla body, I suppose. The main thing that doesn't excite me about these beasts is that really these are all sort of shift targets and Tragic Hero doesn't really need to be shifted. It's just going to sit there. Yes, it might be nice to get Tragic Hero out on 4, but otherwise I don't really see much of a reason to play this. 3-costed Inkable 0/5 with 1 lore, Chi-Fu, Imperial Advisor, Storyborn Ally, with Overly Cautious. While this character has no damage, he gets +2 lore. Uncommon card with art by Gaku Kumatori. This is a really good draft card, I think. I will draft the heck out of this. A 3-cost that turns sideways for 3 lore the next turn and most likely takes 2 things to kill it. Yes, it isn't hitting them back, but I'll still take them turning 2 things sideways for a turn after I've just got 3 lore. Don't mind it at all. Don't think it'll see constructed play. I'd be interested if we ever see like ally matters. We've got a lot of hero and villain support in this set. You know, if we ever see like allies use their willpower as their strength or something like that, this instantly becomes insane. But until then, I think this is a draft king and not much else. 5-costed Inkable 4/7 1 lore, Chen Po, Imperial Soldier, Storyborn Ally with Bodyguard. I mean, just a big old bodyguard. Probably not really enough to see much play anymore. Probably in set 1 I'd have really loved this. Stat line isn't terrible, doesn't get killed by Maui, but doesn't trade with the Maui, unfortunately. A 5/7 might have seen this creep into some decks, but as it stands, again, quite draftable, but otherwise probably isn't seeing much play. First legendary then is a 4-costed Inkable 3/4 with 1 lore, Donald Duck Buccaneer, Dreamborn Hero, Pirate Captain with Boarding Party. During your turn, whenever this character banishes a character in a challenge, the other characters get +1 lore. Legendary card then. I love this, I really do. I don't think it's a meta card. I don't think it's going to be in a tier 0 deck, but I have a Ruby Steel Pirates deck that I love to play in more casual formats, and this is going straight into it. It's a good target to play down after your Smee because of the captain tag there. You know, it sits nicely onto a Jolly Roger and can come out swinging for a nice lore gain mid to late game. And it dies to Medusa, which is, you know, the big problem. But otherwise, I think this is great, and it's a really good fun card, but maybe isn't quite as powerful as it needs to be to see, you know, sort of tier play. 6-costed Inkable 6/5 with 2 lore, Hercules Beloved Hero, Storyborn Hero Prince with Bodyguard and Resist 1. Just a nice big body, really. Sits there and keeps stuff alive. Could see a bit of fringe play this one, I think. Maybe if Heroes is something that people can figure out. I think there might be a Sapphire Steel deck or an Amber Steel deck that cares about Heroes. It might be enough to get it in there with this one. It just as a thing that keeps your singers alive for a turn. Yeah, not terrible. But a fine card. Now, here's an interesting one. 3-costed Inkable 2/3 with 1 lore, LeFou, Opportunistic Flunky, Dreamborn Ally. I learn from the best. During your turn, you may play this character for free if an opposing character was banished in a challenge this turn. So many cool lines of play possible with this thing. I think, I don't know if it's a sleeper, because most people I've heard talk about it have rated it quite highly, but I do think maybe this is one of them ones that people are going to rest on a little bit until they really find the line, because it's not an auto-include, it's not a game-winning card, but there are so many cool things you can do with this. If you're playing a whole new world deck, this is just going to help you empty your hands so quick and leave some bodies on the board before you get your whole new world off. Yes, they're 2/3, they're vanilla bodies basically once they're played, but even still, just being able to get cards out of your hand quicker than your opponents and get that whole new world ticking along is fantastic. In an Amethyst Steel deck, this is going to be great fodder for a Fox. If you have your 1 or your 2-drop Amethyst Challenger, your Rafiki, or the new Ursula that we got in this set, take something out, and then this just gets played for free, and then you can use it to pick it up to play your Fox. Your Fox goes into something and you can play this again. I mean, yes, it's a bit Magical Christmas Land, but you know what? I do think as just a fodder for Fox, this is a really great play. I think this is great, and it's one of those ones that's really worth grabbing 4 of if you see them cheap or if you see them early, because somebody's going to find the perfect couple of lines for this, and it's going to become a staple in Steel decks. I think this is the Smee of the set. I think Smee was a little slept on when it came out. People very quickly realised that it's really just good value, and I think this one's going to be the same kind of thing. 5-costed Inkable 5/5 for 2 lore, Li Shang, Imperial Captain, Dreamborn Hero Captain, uncommon card, sorry, nice art, just 5/5 across the board, nothing to really talk about here. 3-costed Inkable 3/3 with 1 lore, Ling, Imperial Soldier, Storyborn Ally, full of spirit. Your hero characters get +1 strength. Uncommon card here, good card I think. Again, if that hero deck becomes a thing, this is probably going to see a lot of play in it. Also, just in general, this might squeeze in some play because it's going to help some of your steel heroes get past the Medusa problem, which is a big thing, you know. Sherwood, Robin Hood, Champion of Sherwood, Beast Tragic Hero, all of these big steel bombs that are just getting picked up by Medusa. You can get this down a little earlier. Yes, if this thing had 4 on the strength, it would be amazing and didn't get picked up by Medusa itself. You're basically putting this out to eventually be sacrificed to Medusa. But if it lets your Tragic Hero have another turn, if it lets your Robin Hood, Champion of Sherwood, have another turn, and it just gets them less value out of their Medusa, I think that's a really great play. So I think this one can see play just as much as I can see the Lumiere in Ruby seeing play. I do wonder whether this card and the Ruby Lumiere is enough to make that ice block see play. I've heard some talk about that the last couple of days, the fact that you can exert to give stuff -1 strength and therefore get them back in place for Medusa, for a Ruby Sapphire deck. I don't know, that's quite techie. It could be a thing, but yes, I do think Ling is pretty solid uncommon if you are already running steel and finding your stuff dying to Medusa. 3-costed Inkable 2/4, Louisa Madrigal, Rock of the Family, Storyborn Ally Madrigal, and the only Madrigal in steel, the only one outside of Amber Amethyst, in fact. I'm the strong one. While you have another character in play, this character gets +2 strength. 1 law, common card. Nothing really to be writing home about regarding constructed play, I don't think. It's a Madrigal out of the colours. I think Madrigal's is going to be a fun, casual constructed deck, but this doesn't even fit in it. I do think this is going to be quite draftable, though. A 4/4 on 3 is fine. You usually have another thing out. But yeah, otherwise the best thing about this is the donkey artwork. 2-costed Inkable 2/3 with 1 law, Magic Broom, Aerial Cleaner, Dreamborn Broom with Winged for a day. During your turn, this character gains Evasive. Common card here with a really great looking Broom. I think this is really good. I think this goes into Broom decks, of course, but there's actually a few sort of 2 and 3 drop Brooms, and as we get more of them, or just we find other techie pieces to fit into Brooms, this is probably going to be one of the ones that stick around. Just having that evasive on it, being able to pick off things like Pegasuses, Pagscowls, doesn't get rid of a Mini Surfer, unfortunately. That would be really nice if it did. But otherwise, yeah, just a solid answer to evasives in the early game for Brooms. 6-costed Inkable 2/6 for 2 law, Magic Broom, Brigade Commander, Dreamborn Broom with Resist 1, and Army of Brooms. This character gets +2 strength for each other character named Magic Broom you have in play. Super rare here with art by Otto Paredes. The top end of a Broom deck, I don't think it's the strongest top end for a Broom deck. I mean, you do want to kind of go a little wide with Brooms. Jensid cares about multiple Brooms out, so you do want to have sort of 2 or 3 on the board, therefore making this an 8/6 is pretty good, but it's going to be a big body that's difficult to get rid of. I think I'd really love this if it either had Bodyguard or Rush, which you're not going to really see in Steel, but Bodyguard on this would be really good. If this was just a big old beefy boy that looked after your Yensids or your Wayward Sorcerers after they've turned sideways once, this would be pretty solid. As it stands, I think it's a flavourful top end for a Broom deck. You'd maybe run 2 copies of this, but I would like something a little bit more impactful to finish off my Broom play. 5-costed Inkable 3/4 for 2 law, Mickey Mouse Playful Sorcerer, Floodborn Hero Sorcerer with Shift 3 and Resist 1, and Sweep Away. When you play this character, deal damage to chosen character equal to the number of Brooms you have in play. So this one is another one that cares about having a go wide Brooms. You most likely want to be playing this on 5. I don't think you're shifting it. The next card is a shift target for it, but it's not really going to go into Broom decks, I don't think. You just need a critical mass of Brooms in your Broom deck. But you know what? This coming down on 5, seeing 3 Brooms and dealing 3 to something isn't terrible. Yes, it's going to get Medusa'd, but at least you've got a bit of value out of it coming down. And, there's only 4 copies of Medusa and it's only in Ruby, so there's a chance that this sticks around. And at that point, Resist 1 with a 4 on the book most likely will turn sideways once or twice. Don't mind this at all. I think it goes in Brooms and solely in Brooms, but I do actually think Brooms is a maybe not tier 0 deck, but definitely playable and relatively solid constructed deck. So here's your shift target then. 2-costed Inkable 1/3 with 1 law, Mickey Mouse Standard Bearer, Storyborn Hero with Stand Strong. When you play this character, chosen character gains Challenger to this turn. common card. Yeah, fine draft card. I don't think it sees constructed play, even as a shift target for the sorcerer there. It's just taking up a broom slot, honestly. 4-costed Inkable 3/6 with 1 lore, Mulan Armored Fighter, Storyborn Hero Princess, uncommon card with art by Amber Kamaganga. Yeah, just whatever. Nothing to talk about here, really. It's a shift target. I don't think it's a very good one, though. Now, here's your 4-drop in steel. 4-drop Inkable 2/3 with 2 lore, Philatites, No Nonsense Instructor, Storyborn Ally. You gotta stay focused. Hero characters gain Challenger 1 and Shameless Promoter. Whenever you play a hero character, gain 1 lore. I think this is really good fun. I think there's going to be a couple of different decks you can build around this. This can go into just a general Amber Steel or Sapphire Steel Hero Matters deck. I think there's a Rockstar Stitch deck though that plays this and just, able to splooge out little hero characters to gain lots of lore in 1 turn. Only thing that I would love for this card to have is just the hero characters gain +1 strength and not Challenger 1, because if it gained +1 strength, I mean, it would right off the Ling that we saw before, but it would just help them get past Medusa. As it stands, it's still a fine ability, but really it could not even say that and just have the Shameless Promoter thing, and for some reason it quests for 2 as well. Why not? I just think it's a really solid card. I definitely think there's going to be a deck that comes to light based on heroes because of this card. It's not necessarily built around this card, but I think this card has genuinely made people sort of think, oh, maybe there's a deck in this, and I think there will be. 5-costed Uninkable 3/5 for 3 lore, Piglet Sturdy Swordsman, Dreamborn Hero with Resist 1, and while you have no cards in your hand, this character can challenge ready characters. It's a legendary card with art by Alex Accorsi. Awesome art, possibly my favourite art in the set, if I'm completely honest with you. Fantastic looking enchanted it has as well. But otherwise, that's where I have to kind of stop saying nice things about this card, really. It's uninkable, it gets hit by Medusa, it's a great quester that's ability wants it to challenge. Its ability for challenging is caveated on the fact that you have to have an empty hand, which is not a good position to be in. Self-discard gets a little support in each set, but it certainly isn't a thing yet, and it certainly isn't enough to want to play this card, I don't think. It's a shame. It's a gorgeous card. It needed to be a 4/5, or it needed to be inkable, or a 4-cost, or just every number could go one way or the other and it would probably work. 4-costed Inkable 3/4 with 2 lore, Raja, Royal Protector, Storyborn Ally. When you have no cards in your hand, characters with cost 4 or less can't challenge this character. Yeah, again, this whole empty hand thing is definitely not a thing yet, but maybe in a set or 2 it might be, and when that does happen, this doesn't get hit by Fox. So, in some ways I don't mind this. It's not playable yet though, same reasons of Piglet. It's just you just don't want your hand to be empty until there's a lot more payoffs for it. You just don't want your hand to be empty in this game. 7-costed Inkable 3/6 with 2 lore, Raya, Unstoppable Force, Dreamborn Hero, Princess, Challenger 2, Resist 2. You gave it your best during your turn, and whenever this character banishes another character in a challenge, you may draw a card. Super rare with art by Grace Tran. It's an interesting one, this, because it's got absolutely loads of words all over it. Yeah, I see that 3 on the strength there and immediately write it off. It's awful, really. That's the effect that Medusa's having on the game right now. Cool, it's a 4/6 with Ling out. Maybe it's the top end of the hero. Maybe this one needed to be Floodborn. 7's a lot, really, for something that doesn't do anything on the turn it comes out. But I like all the stats, really. Other than that 3, I like everything else that's got going on about it. 4-costed Inkable 2/5 with 1 lore. I have no idea how this guy's name is said. Yao. Imperial Soldier, Storyborn Ally with Challenger 2. Common card, perfectly acceptable common card, but otherwise nothing really to write home about. 4-costed Inkable Action Avalanche. Deal 1 damage to each opposing character. You may banish chosen location. Uncommon card with art by Justin Gerard. I'm surprised this costs 4. Grab your swords on 2 and is singable. I mean, sure, it has that location thing on there, but I'm not sure that's as relevant as it could be now. Maybe this gets better in the future with locations getting more and more support. You have to think that locations are always kind of like 2 sets behind characters and items and songs. But otherwise, right now, I don't particularly rate this. Even in like a Damage Matters deck with like Steel Emerald or something, I'm not sure this sees a home in it, honestly, just because it's a bit bricky at that 4-cost uninkable and it's not singable or anything. So Yeah, right now I'm not too hot on this one. Forecasted Inkable Action Song. I find them, I flatten them, banish all items. Uncommon card with art by Jennifer Parker. Great art. I love the donkeys. Great art. You can go back and watch old videos of mine. I have said since day one that there needs to be an item board wipe. I've also said that even if they print one, it still won't see play. That's how I feel about this card. Cool. It's singable. It's inkable. It's doing everything it wants to do. I still don't know a deck that currently plays this. 3 costed uninkable action song, One Last Hope. Chosen character gains resist 2 until the start of your next turn. If a hero character is chosen, they may also challenge ready characters this turn. Rare card with art by Alex Pisoni. Great art as well, really captures the song well, I think. I don't think this one sees much play due to its uninkability, even though it's a song. It's very specifically going into those hero decks. Maybe that's enough to see it as like a little 2 of in there, something, just a little bit of spice. But otherwise, yeah, I'm not sure this one is going to make the cut. Amazing art on this one. 10 costed, uninkable action song, the Mob Song. Sing together 10, deal 3 damage to up to 3 chosen characters and or locations. Uncommon card with art by Ian McDonald. The art is the best thing about this. It's very expensive. It's 2 grab your swords and isn't even as good as 2 grab your swords. I would rather just play grab your swords twice. Again, eventually locations could be more of a concern, but right now I just give me grab your swords. 1 costed uninkable, action, Triton's Decree. Each opponent chooses one of their characters and deals 2 damage to them. Common card with art by Carlos Gomez Cabral. In 1v1, this is a worse Fire the Cannons. There is an amazing spot for this, and it's very specific and it's very niche, but I've heard nobody else mention it, so I'm going to tell you about it. A multiplayer game where you're 4th, and this is your turn 1 play. So all 3 of your opponents will play a turn 1, and they'll play their 2/2. And then it comes to you, and you kill them all. But that's it. That's the only time I think this card is ever good. 1 costed inkable item, Fortosphere, Resourceful. When you play this card, you may draw a card. And Extract of Steel. You can pay 1 to banish it, and then chosen character gains Bodyguard until the start of your next turn. Common card with art by Mariana Moreno. Sure, this is an item that replaces itself, and that's the only thing that really matters on this one, to be honest with you. It's a Steel Pawp Skull. There's now an 8 Pawp deck. There's a Sapphire Steel deck that just runs 8 copies of these just to help you get through to the combo pieces. Extract of Steel might occasionally be a thing, but for the most part, this is a 1-drop that draws you a card. 2 costed inkable item, Imperial Bow. Within range, you can exert this and pay 1 to give chosen hero character challenge 2 and evasive. Uncommon card with art by Yari Loot. Don't really rate this one very high. At least it's not an item that banishes itself, which I really don't like. This, maybe a couple of these in a hero deck, but probably not, honestly. 3 cost uninkable item, RLS Legacy's Cannon with Baboom. You can exert this, pay 2 and discard a card, deal 2 damage to chosen character or location. This is a rare card. I think it's quite safe at this point for me to say this. This is the worst card in the set. This is 5 ink and 2 cards to ping 2 to deal 2. 5 ink and 2 cards to deal 2 damage. If you get to do it again, it's 7 ink and 3 cards to deal 2 damage. To deal 4 damage. This is absolutely horrific and is a rare. I'm gonna be annoyed every time I see more than the first copy for my binder. And then finally, a couple of locations. 4 costed inkable, 2 move cost, 8 on the willpower, The Wall, Border Fortress, Protect the Realm. Where you have an exerted character here, your other locations can't be challenged. Nice big body on it. I think that the answer, though, is just to kill the thing that's on it, right? Like, maybe there's an Emerald Steel one where Emerald stuff that wants to be challenged sits here. Sticky Curse Merfolk's here, Sticky Flynn Riders here, perhaps. I'm not sure. And Thebes is your last one. 2 costed inkable, 1 move cost, 7 willpower. If you can make it here during your turn, whenever a character banishes another character in a challenge while here, gain 2 lore. I've said this before, I'm a big fan of my Ruby Steel Pirate / Location deck. I think this probably goes in that. I think I'm playing Bayou at the moment, and I probably will replace it with this because this is a little bit more in line with what the deck wants to do, but for the most part, let's be honest, in that deck, the locations just sit there so that John Silver's a beefy boy. But with things like the Donald Duck that we saw before, and then all the other things that just wants to swing out like Maui's and stuff like that, Thebes may be an option for it. It's nice that it's cheap to move to. I understand why it doesn't have a passive lore. That would have made it really great. But otherwise, yeah, maybe this, best of a bad bunch, honestly. Locations really haven't enthused me this set, but I don't mind this one, honestly. And there you go. That's all of the steel cards, and with it, all of the cards in the set. Thanks so much for joining me over these this week. I think, personally, I prefer the style of videos that we've done for the first 3 sets, where we look at the cards as they're revealed. It's a little bit more interesting for me, and honestly, I'll be honest with you, it does better as far as a YouTube algorithm thing is concerned. It's been nice to do this way because I did get a little bit backed up during set championships, but I think moving forward in the future we will look at just keeping more of a sort of news vibe to these videos, doing them every few days during the reveal season. But I would appreciate your feedback either way on that in the comments if you're still with me by this point. Thank you so much for watching. I love you all to bits. Until the next one, keep good.